What's up, guys? It's Halloween Hunters here for another Cadillac hearse video. I finally got something that I've been wanting for a while. This is a 1963-64 Cadillac steering wheel and horn piece. I finally got one of these wheels, obviously used from a parts car. It's not in the best condition. It's like got a slight dip over here. It's got cracks, missing the chrome trim, but it was cheap. These wheels are kind of expensive, a couple $100, and I just love the 63-64 Cadillac steering wheel. It's my favorite steering wheel of all time. So I have a Cadillac, so I want to have this kind of wheel on it, but it needs some work. So it's missing all the chrome pieces except it's got one here, which I think I'm just going to remove, and I'm going to put something custom in those grooves, I think, instead of the chrome pieces. Because what happens over time is the plastic kind of shrinks, so even if I bought new chrome, it probably wouldn't fit. It probably wouldn't fit in there. I'm going to take these chrome pieces off to shine them and clean them up. There's a big crack right here. So what we're going to do is basically sand this whole wheel down, probably 200 grit, 250 grit, 220-ish, around there. We're going to sand it down. We're going to Bondo our cracks. We're going to prime and sand. And we're just going to keep doing that until this thing is perfectly smooth, looking good again. Once it looks good again, we can prime it, paint it, clear coat it. You're going to want to let it dry for a while. And the other thing is, I don't even know if this is going to fit on my Cadillac. This is a 63 to 64 wheel, and I'm going to try to fit it on my 70. I want to say it's the same spline, but I have no idea. So we're going to find out. So I'm going to get to work on this. This is your little before video. The chrome is good, the chrome piece. So these wheels, like this set right here, is probably worth a couple $100. Maybe $150 because of the cracking. But I got this whole setup for $20 off a guy. This chrome piece here. And then I just got this for $70. So under $100 for this set. It's a pretty good deal to me. Kind of a pain to find these. And also it's not black, it's like a teal, greenish teal. So we're gonna have to change that. It's gonna have to be painted black. And then I don't know what we're going to do because this is red. I could buy another color one, but even just that piece is like $50. So we'll see. We could always do something custom. So I'm going to get to work, and then you guys will see this after I Bondo it, the first coat. Okay, so sanded it down with some 240 grit. And then the whole thing just had so many hairline cracks. And the stick wasn't doing good, so I just used my hand and just rubbed it in all over the whole thing, and all the cracks. I decided I'm just going to fill those gaps, but I forgot to take off this piece of chrome, so I'm going to take that off first. And started filling that one and this one. They're going to need more, obviously. That was just my first little batch. And I only have enough cream hardener for one more batch here. I think I'm out of hardener, but I'm almost out of Bondo too. There's only a little bit left. So I'm going to let this get nice and hard. And we're going to sand it all down. And then I got to pop this chrome off. We popped the other pieces off because we don't want to get those messed up. They just pop right off. They had little clips. The clip was already broken on one, and then I broke the other one on accident. So we'll just have to re-glue these on once we clean them. They definitely need to be cleaned. But yeah, once this is nice and dry, we can start sanding it and see how it looks. We're gonna sand it. I'm gonna give it a quick coat of primer, just on the parts that we did, not obviously anywhere else, and just see how it looks. To see where we need more Bondo. The primer will show us where our cracks are. where you may not see them with your eye when it's just the Bondo. Alright guys, so here's the wheel so far. Still needs body work, but I decided to try to put it on. So here's our original wheel. And there's the splines. And here is our 64 wheel, 63, 64 wheel. There's the splines. And this spline is just a hair too big. Bigger than that one. I looked up spline adapters. There's only like 2 on the internet, and they're not really for adapting to bigger or smaller splines. They're more for quick disconnecting steering wheels for like race cars. And I can't even determine what size they are online. So those aren't going to work, and I'm not going to sit there and order like 10 different adapters that are like $30 a piece, just hoping one might fit, because it not only has to be the outside perimeter of this, the inside diameter has to be that, and it's very small, very, very small. I honestly thought about just like wrapping a bunch of like thin copper tape around it or whatever, let it form, but that's a little dangerous. If you got to hit a hard turn and you spin it, you want it to teeth in. So I called my mechanic, talked to him for a little bit. He didn't really have any solutions either, other than taking out the whole spindle of your column. And I don't want to take my whole column apart. It's a real pain in the ass. A lot of springs in there and stuff. So I decided to change out these center pieces. They're just kind of tack welded on there. This one was covered in plastic, if you guys saw earlier. You couldn't see any of this. So I used my Dremel, and I cut all the plastic away from it. And as you see, it's just kind of like tacked right there. It's tacked underneath, same on this side. That's all that's holding this wheel in. Because this whole wheel is a metal circle, and it's got metal rod coming up here, metal rod coming here. All steering wheels are metal. It's the same with this one. And this one's just kind of tacked in too. So what we're going to do is basically we're going to take this whole centerpiece and weld it into where these are. So we're going to get the Dremel, or you can use a grinder. I don't have a grinder on me right now with a cutting blade. So I have my metal cutting blade on my Dremel. And I'm going to cut these welds. And then I'm going to place my steering wheel with that one on the car and line it up where I want it. And then I'll weld it in. And I'll weld it even stronger than these welds. These don't look too strong, if I'm gonna be honest. Should be able to cut those away pretty easily. So then we'll line it up, and you're not going to see any of this anyways. It's all going to be hidden over that big chrome dome anyways. And like I said, still got a lot of body work to do, but it's getting there. This side looks pretty good. Still got some cracks and little spots, but for the most part, it's getting there. It's looking pretty good, feels good. This is actually a pretty good wheel, other than this centerpiece. It's all ripped out, and when you're steering and you go like this to steer, it cuts your hands up bad. So that's what we're doing. Plus, I like this style wheel. The real big pain though, only thing that's gonna suck, look at the height difference. That one sits like 2 inches away, that one sits way out. So this one's basically gonna be like, 2-3 inches closer to me when I'm driving, but we'll try it. And like I said, I'm just gonna tack weld it. We'll drive it around the block, see how it does, and then if I really like it, then we'll finish it up. And if I don't like it, if I don't like the way it feels, I could always re-weld it onto my original wheel, or even buy a new wheel, because like I said, this part sucks. I could fill this all in with Bondo or acrylic or something. What sucks is how nasty it is inside there. If I did it with acrylic, you'd see that. So I'd probably just buy a new wheel, a new 70 wheel if I wanted to, or go get one out of the junkyard. I have a friend who used to rebuild only 69 and 70 Cadillacs. That's all he did. So he's got a crap ton of parts, and that's where I got a lot of parts from. And I know he's got wheels laying around, so I could always get one off him if I need to. But, you know, I love that 63, 64 wheel, so that's what we're going to do. All right, y'all, there's no going back now. I cut that's from the 64, there's the 70 wheel, and this is basically what we're dealing with. So now I got to line it up on the wheel and kind of mark how I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to weld the shit out of it. And then we can get this wheel on there. Well, then we can finish restoring it. And then put it on. Alrighty, so before I finish all the body work, because we have to keep messing with the wheel, I have it laid in where I need it. Here's the chrome piece, which is holding this piece. Now remember, the chrome piece has two prongs that fit in your removal holes that line up perfectly straight. So I had to cut that knob off like that right here to make it fit right. If I didn't do that, then this wheel wouldn't work and we'd have to go back and do this. So it's a good thing I remembered that. It's lined up perfectly. I have it kind of leveled up on some pegs here. So now it is level, and I'm just gonna put a tack right here and then a tack right there and then flip it, and I'll do a tack on the other side, and then we'll stick it on the car and we'll try putting it on to make sure that it spins perfect and doesn't spin wobbly. Once we get it perfectly level, which I did put a level on it and it is level, so let's give it a couple tacks and see how it does. All right, y'all, see the wheel is straight. What's good is I can straighten the car perfectly and then put this on after. This is gonna be our little test to make sure that the wheel moves right. And so far it's looking good. Got the chrome piece on. This piece pops on very last. This is gonna be our hurrah when we actually finish this project, but I don't wanna stick it all the way in. Still need to do all that body work and shine the chrome, but this is gonna be our test. So the hearse is warmed up. So I'm gonna give it a little test drive and see how it spins. Alrighty guys, it's finally almost done. This is the last coat of Bondo, I think. The last coat of Bondo. We might have a couple more low spots over here, it looks like maybe. We'll see after we sand it. And I finished welding it. It's not the prettiest welds, but they're strong, I could tell you that. It's not gonna break. I couldn't even probably break this if I really tried to break it. I still couldn't do it. It would just bend the pipe and not the weld. So I drove around with it and it looks good. As you see, it's like, that's balanced and it's like balanced there. Remember that warp I told you guys about? Like one of the sides, you could tell when you're driving a little bit. That doesn't have to do with what we did. This car must have, where this wheel came from must have been in an accident or something at one point. But it's almost done. So what we're gonna do is finish the Bondo. I'm gonna sand this all down. I'm gonna prime it, and then I'm gonna give it a light sand with a very fine grit. I think I have some 400 left. So we're gonna do this, do the 400, and then we are going to paint it. And then I think I'm gonna do a 400 on the paint and then do another coat of paint, and hopefully it sticks really well and won't come off and look nice and glossy. And then we'll clean up our chrome pieces and then we'll put those on and finish this up. This will get done today. It is a lot higher, like I said, about 3 inches closer to you when you're driving. So it feels a little different driving it with this wheel. I drove it around the block to see how it was steering before I fully welded it. I didn't want to weld it and steer and have it egg-shaped, you know. You want it to be straight. So I drove it around with the 2 tack welds, which, you know, probably not the safest thing, but it was bolted on there. And it was nice and straight. Did a whole bunch of turns, and it didn't look wobbly at all. It looked really nice and straight, so finished the welding up. Bolt all sides of it I did. Yes, I know it looks ugly, but there's some good welds there. I won't say that those are all good welds, but there's some good ones that melted the metal nice and bonded it well, so it's not going anywhere. So let's finish this up. So is it perfect? No, I got a couple little imperfections, like right there. Right there. This side did good. Especially right. This one came out really nice. You can't even tell there was a spot there. This one, a little bit of a dip. But it's primed. I'm gonna let it dry for about 30 minutes. And then we're gonna paint it black. One of my favorite gloss blacks is this one right here. By Dupli, whatever you call it. I've used this one a lot. It's a very good bonding paint. It goes really good on metal. I'm gonna use it, obviously. This is plastic, but it should look really nice. And I polished up the chrome already. Look how nice that looks now. Polished these little pieces. Almost time. The wheel, I'm pretty sure, is straight on the car, so once this dries, we'll paint it black. Then we can install it for the final time. One thing I want to be able to do is change this wheel out eventually. That's why I didn't want to fuck this up. So if I ever want to go back to the original Cadillac, 1970 Cadillac wheel, I can, because we're not changing this. So we're just gonna let it dry. We'll paint it and then we'll stick it on here. Well, folks, there it is. Look at that. Shining like a diamond now. I just threw a coat of clear on it. And we're gonna let it dry really well before we actually drive the car. Let it dry for a couple hours before I install it. Let's see, yeah. Our chrome piece. Oh yeah, look at that. Classic Caddy, baby. And then these little pieces we'll have to glue on. That go on the edge here. Have to glue those on. But this is basically a finished product now. Hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I gotta say, I don't fully recommend doing what I did, but you know, this is the world of classic and custom cars. Sometimes you just gotta make things work. And that's what we did here. This will line up better once it's actually installed, and then there it is. So we turned a 63 Cadillac wheel, restored it, no more cracks or anything, and we modified it to fit on a 70. Pretty simple, just time consuming, and you know, I didn't have all the right tools. I would have liked to cut these pieces off a little better, but you know, use what you have. Now it's painted a nice gloss black, nice clear coat on it. Oh yeah, I can't wait to put it on now that it's actually finished. So I'll let this dry for about an hour or so, and then right before it gets dark out, I'll put it on. I don't know if I'll fully tighten it down, but I'll stick it on there and see how it looks. Here it is, folks, all done. on there real nice. Oh, locked it. Only thing I have to do left is actually glue these chrome pieces on. I just kind of set them there for now. I'll take it for a little spin and see how she feels. Let's see, she starts up. She was warm earlier. Let's see. This is me sitting here now. And this wheel, it's got good length here, which is what I was first scared of. The only thing is, like, where I used to be able to just, the turn signal was right next to my finger, now look where it is, way up here. Which, that's not a big deal, you know, but I did not hook up the horn. Something I'm gonna do later. Shouldn't be too hard to do. A couple little imperfections, but they're not too bad. I wish this was a tilt wheel so I could tilt it down a little bit, because it is kind of high. This is where my eyes are, so yeah, it's a little high because it is out more. The other one used to be about right here, I'd say. This one's out a little bit more. But something else I remembered is 1965 Cadillacs had this same wheel and same dashboard as a 64, but had the body style of similar to my body style. It was the body style in between. It was the stacked headlights style, which the front grille and the rear end were different, but the actual side of the car were the same. And the dash on the 65 was like the 64, but then in 67 they changed it up, and then in 68 it went to something more like this, but with a wheel like this one on 68s, and I think 67. So maybe a 65 wheel would have slid right on because of the body change, but I honestly don't have any idea. But we got our new wheel on. I want to go for a little drive, and we're gonna let the Caddy warm up, and then we'll see how she does.